So, everybody talks about the American dream. We're not Americans, but everybody talks about it. It's a concept. But can we actually achieve it?
Well, to answer that question, I mean, I guess we got to start where this question: what even is the American dream?
I don't think a lot of people know what the American dream actually is, but a lot of the concepts attributes from the American dream it kind of got coined by James Adams by his book The Epic of America. It was released in 1931, and it's a quote. This is one of the quotes that a lot of people use when they talk about the American dream, and it says, "That dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to the ability or achievement." I might have added a few words in there.
I mean, that sounds nice, but how relevant is that actually in the year of our Lord 2025?
I mean, I guess not much in the contents of it, but it's vague. It's ideas. It's a book, but maybe more so like in the principle of what they're talking about. Or
Oh, you mean like life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? I mean, is it actually happening though?
I don't know, but I guess we can take a look at it.
Please be advised that we will reference many horrific injustices in American history committed against BIPOC, 2S, LGBTQIA+, women and gender diverse peoples, and other similarly oppressed communities.
So hey guys, hi. Um, we totally forgot to introduce ourselves in the first
We
episode.
did. We literally waited till the very last 5 seconds to be like, "Hi" or "Bye." This is like da da da. Da. Anyway,
It was a long-winded episode too. My bad. My bad. My V. My V. Hold on. So for those who are just tuning in, hopefully you didn't tune in the first one, or you did. I don't know. Who knows? But my name is Trago by they them,
my name is Migs. I go by he him.
and let's get this show on the road, shall
Mhm.
we? So before we talk about the American dream, we must recall bygone era of steam, iron machinery, and armed conflict. So
That just sounds like America wrapped up in a little bow.
again, like as the disclaimer said, we kind of have to start this with the come up of
Mhm.
the America because that's the entire point of the American dream is
Yeah.
it's an Americana concept.
Yeah, it's like their vision of comeuppance, effectively. We do want to put a little disclaimer that we will launch into a little bit of American history. This is going to be very surface level.
Very vague.
The whole point is to provide context again as to the come up of why America, as we referenced in the previous episode, why everybody measures their dick size against the states.
We're doing big swings, big
Big
swings.
swings.
That's all we're doing right
Yeah.
now. So before that, we all kind of have to understand where how all of this started, and it did start from the Industrial Revolution.
Mhm.
For those who do not have an idea of what the Industrial Revolution is, it's just when steampunk was just steam. There's no punk. It's,
Yeah.
steam. It's the steam engine. The steam engine did its big one, as the kids would say, and it revolutionized manufacturing, agriculture, like really big.
Transportation and logistics too.
Yeah, so like really big job sectors that we
Mhm.
kind of see invisibly in our day to day
Yeah.
lives now.
Yeah, that just
You,
happens in the background now.
yeah, sorry, my API is expiring. And that's for school. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. So steam engine, your nana is not no longer doing her loom in your kitchen. She's
She's doing
doing
it in
it
a factory
in a
now.
warehouse. So we're getting paid pennies, shingles. I don't know what the fuck the currency was. But yeah, so um with this kind of boom, of course there's gonna be um what has come up out of it is the middle class, like the
Mhm.
working class, and also just exponentially
the exponential growth of like again like manufacturing and agriculture,
A lot of
uh,
money around,
yeah, transportation over long distances now because of like the railroads and that kind of
which
thing.
like kind of fed into the manufacturing and
Hmm.
actually agriculture because you can transport your.
Yeah, and everything just got scaled up basically from like the little like boutique style artisanal
Now
like
it's like
home stuff. Now it's
this is the mass consumption. This
yeah,
is
this is mass production basically. Yeah,
it's Amazon all over
yeah,
again,
pretty much.
but steampunk,
Yeah.
literally. Anyways, so with that, um, again, we're doing big swings, but there is something that we want to kind of focus on. And a lot of this information I'm getting is from a course, history course that is hosted by one of the Green Brothers. I'm sorry, I
I think it's
forgot.
both of them actually. The like vlog blur,
I apologize, but it's one of them. So
Hank and or John.
they pointed out the industrial oppression,
Mhm.
and it's you guys are smart, sorta.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we're giving you too much credit.
But it's worked in the word. So these are the people who are most likely gonna be in the warehouses. They're gonna be doing the grunt work, the very manual labor intensive
Mhm,
work.
mhm.
So a lot of these people were children. Unfortunately, these
Yes.
were the times before children labor
This was
laws.
before labor laws. This was like BLL as we like to refer to it.
There were women as good, like good-ish, like new to the scene, and of course, hence the time there are
Right.
going to be slaves who
Mm.
are part of the servitude, in servitude, whatever the hell you want to call it. I call it oppression.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just me though, right?
Mhm.
So the those three people are the ones who kind of took the grunt work as it is, as I said, and I kind of want to highlight something centered around women is because women going into workforces, especially in those days,
Right.
is such a foreign thing.
Right.
So they came up with this idea, cultural phenomenon idea, whatever you want to call it. It's called the angel of the household.
Mm.
I think we all know where this is going.
Yeah.
So the angel of the household. This is the premise. You work so hard, your body aches. It's
You're
so
covered in grime and sweat and you stink.
everybody stinks, and like after all of that work, you want to come home to a nice, clean house with the the
A warm
children,
meal.
the children with you in tow,
Yeah.
because they're
A
probably
fire in
working.
the hearth.
And who is supposed to do that other than the woman, the
The
wife
wife.
of the relationship, right? So this is a phenomenon where they are kind of pushing back as much as they need the women because they're the one who knows how to do fabrics and like again a lot of
Mhm.
the manufacturing revolves around like clothing wise, right? So
Right.
not a lot of men know how to do anything to do with like clothes and stuff like that. So this is kind of like to push. Not a lot of them can go into the warehouses.
Right. So now, as a woman, at that time, you had a choice. You can either be a wife or you can be a bachelorette working in the garment factory.
Exactly, and like
Hooray, feminism.
you can kind of see it during the period pieces as well. Like I mean,
Yeah.
these period pieces are never accurate, but like
No, but like it still gives off that like the same ideas,
right,
right?
because
Yeah.
like you find a lot of times they will be starting in a work job in like the call centers or whatever the fuck,
Mm-hmm.
or the switchboards. Sorry, not call centers, are called switchboards or like manufacturing. Then when they got all of a sudden halfway through the series, they have a husband, they have a whatever.
And now they are unemployed, but employed at home, taking care of the kids, cooking meals,
Mhm.
stoking the fire.
Exactly, right? So that's kind of like the same concept. It's a one way, like you can go there, but like not too much now.
Yeah, and like you didn't really have like a choice to mix.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was one or the other. And like I wanted to say, like if this sounds familiar, if this sounds like something that's come up recently, you wouldn't be
Smith.
wrong. The fucking the trad wife trend.
Yeah, Smith.
This pretty much has its roots. That pretty much has its roots in this.
Okay. So with all of that put into place, we can kind of shift to the Americas. And what is America good at? War. Ironic.
That
It's
sounds
not
like a Cards
ironic.
Against Humanity card.
But yeah, they're built on the war industry as much as they would like you to tell you that they are not. That's a big fat lie.
We'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, if you look at the past whatever the fuck years, however, when were they born? Like, they did benefit a lot from all of the great and unwonderful wars that has happened throughout world history.
Yeah, pretty much. Even especially since its inception, really.
Yeah, so where are we going to start? The war that started it all is the Spanish American War. So, after this, again, not going into details, just
You can do that on your own, not in our comment section, please.
we're not history buffs.
No,
Bitch.
thank you.
But so the what did I guess let me rephrase this. What we're gonna be talking about is kind of like what the outcome of which war of each war benefited the U.S. of A.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, nothing to do with history. It's just like this happened, resulted to that. Spanish American War resulted to land acquisition, colonization
Mhm.
of various countries.
Yeah, various like countries that are. What was it? It was Puerto Rico. It was
The Philippines, Puerto Rico, Guam,
American Samoa.
American Samoan, and I forgot the other ones. I do apologize, but yeah. Also, they annexed Hawaii, so
Mhm. Oh, and
them.
Cuba. Cuba's a big
Oh
one.
yeah,
Too.
and
Yes.
Cuba as well. Some of these acquisitions are still under U.S. territories. A lot of y'all don't know that, but like
No,
they're American
Puerto Rico.
citizens.
Yeah.
They're American citizens.
Yeah.
They just can't vote. Wow. Um,
It smells racist, bro.
but anyways, with the land acquisition that had happened, it kind of put the America into place, into like a
Well,
power play.
yeah, it put them into onto the map because like here was the bastard love child of like former British and French colony, now colonizing lands on its own.
So it's copying what its Papa did.
Basically, yeah.
Papa, let me be. I'm not continuing that sentence anymore. But yeah, so it ended up them being on the stage
hmm
of like, hey, we're on the lookout. Look at us coming up already.
Yeah.
Right. So after the Spanish War comes World War One, and as somebody who did the research for majority of the fucking okay, did the research for like the come up of the USA and also industrial war, I still do not know why World War One started. Somebody got shot in Europe and then it started. I don't fucking know,
To
dude.
be fair, I think historians also are like, we don't know why this war started.
Some
either.
bitch got fucking shot and now they started World War One. Congratulations.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Thank you. I don't fucking know. But anyways, World War started mainly happened in excuse me, in Europe. It's called the Great World War because
The Great War, yeah.
they're not narcissists. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Because apparently just Europe is the world.
Exactly, right? So we started not we, I'm sorry.
They.
They started the war, mostly condensed it in Europe. AKA they're all shooting each other in the foot for reasons unknown. TBA.
Basically.
Right? And what comes out of that is France's economy shit. Great Britain's economy is shit.
Germany is
Germany's-
leveled and economy shit.
Nothing. So
Yeah.
every single superpower at that time
Mhm.
went into war with each other, shot themselves in the foot economic wise and kind of like
And kind of physically too.
and everything else wise. So where that kind of leaves the US of A.
Yeah,
being-
they literally just because of the fact that like Europe again like shot itself in the foot in more ways than one. Um, the U.S. just kind of defaulted to like the number one economic superpower
exactly
by a long margin.
because
By a lot.
okay, defaulted needs to be the keyword there.
Yeah.
Nobody else was there to pick up, at least in the western side of the
No.
world. No one was, and no one but nobody else was there to like
No.
pick up any fucking slack.
No.
And also in this world war, you can kind of see a trend starting to happen
Mhm.
when it comes to U.S. and their military is because at the very end is the U.S.
The U.S. were called in for reinforcements by I think Great Britain. Great Britain was like, and like, don't come for me in the comments, please. But like, Great Britain was like, send us your troops, please. We are dying. Send mama.
Your troops. But so the troops came, albeit at the very end of at the very end
Mhm.
of the war. Still, this started a trend of like whoever the U.S. more specifically their military sides with,
Mm.
they tend to be the upper hand. They're kind of like the
They're the
tide.
deciding factor.
Yeah, they're the
kinda, it
tide
looks like.
turner within the
Yeah, within
war.
the
I don't know
within
what
the
the
war.
fuck do you
Yeah.
want to call it.
We're not touching the conflicts that America itself has started. We're just talking specifically about the ones that they were joined.
big swings.
Yeah.
Big swings, big strokes, big strokes. That's all we're doing, big strokes. So, on top of the US being the yay people,
The big deciding factor. Yeah.
deciding factor,
Yeah.
another thing that the US participated in was the peace conference in Versailles.
Seriously, like literally, I could just imagine the President Wilson just swaggering down the halls of like the Glass Palace and like just, I mean, like, I have more money than you bitches.
You literally have more money than you bitches right now. Let's be honest, they do.
Just waving the Paris Tribute Street.
It's like,
Sign here, sign here.
Anyways, so other than that, that was our dramatization. We don't know if that's actually accurate.
Yeah.
It might be, but we don't know. But on top of the peace conference in Versailles, another thing that Wilson actually started was the League of Nations, which is a
Precursor.
precursor to the UN,
Mhm.
which was what?
It was shot down by Congress.
So what's new? What's new with
Hooray!
you?
Separation of powers.
How
We
many
love
years-
it.
How many years has it been? And it's still happening.
Yeah.
Good old three branches of the
Wait.
legislature. Like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Ooh.
Anyways, so
Okay.
that also started the notion,
Yes.
started a seed.
It got the ball rolling though. Let's
a
we'll
little
say.
thing that Bill Clinton did somewhere.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
So
But anyway, fast forward now to a few, like a decade ish down
sometime,
the
I don't
line.
fucking know.
Another
Big
World
swings,
War.
big swings. World War Two.
World War Two.
But now everyone's a participant.
Yeah, it's actually a world war this time, pretty much.
There's the war in the East and the war in the West. We were
Yeah.
part of the East.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell.
But yeah, so Axis powers versus
The Allies. Yeah.
Allies. But now the U.S. we're now actually at
Yeah, they're no longer the last minute Deus Ex Machina or side character piece. They're now a main character.
the Deus Ex
They've-
Machina is wild. But now they're in their big boy.
They put the big boy pants on.
They're on the sitting table with
they're
everybody else.
they're at the adults table now.
Exactly, and they're actually part of the war. And
Mhm.
you know what's happening in the East Side? Japan said, "Let me do what the Germans are doing."
Yeah, which funnily enough is what the Americans were doing after the Spanish War. So
So everybody's just copying everybody. We're in kindergarten, is what we're trying to tell you. War started because we're all in kindergarten.
yeah,
Hey, anyways, but with all of that
Mhm.
happening, we killed the Nazis. Defeated, I guess.
we killed a bunch of Nazis. Sure, yeah.
But Nazis.
Unfortunately, not enough because some of y'all bitches are still here. Go
Punch
punch a Nazi.
punch Nazis.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Axis forces
Mhm.
down for the count. They're out.
Yeah.
Allied won. Yay!
Hooray!
So again, the entire shebang of peace conferences
Yeah.
has happened.
And like now too with the with World War II, another big thing is that like the America was the only country
that wasn't
that A wasn't leveled again.
because
B,
all of the fucking wars happened off coast.
yes, like nothing happened. Well, very
Pearl
little
Harbor.
happened on the mainland.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor happened. It was Hawaii. It's off the mainland. And secondly, that was the U.S. major casualty was Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
Do you know what the major casualty was with Japan, who was the rival? Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
One after the other.
Yeah, and
One
like
was enough. One was enough. One was enough.
and like I was getting to the fact that as well that like America was the only country that had and used atomic weapons.
Other people probably like we're phrasing it that way because we did do research. I don't know if other people had atomic weapons.
I think they were working towards it, but I
Yeah.
think the Americans scrambled to
only
get
one
that
who
shit
was, like,
together.
Who were the ones? No, drop that shit on them. I'm just like
Yeah,
overkill,
pretty
but like
much.
yeah, sure, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Oppenheimer, etc., whatever.
Yeah. Bonheimer, go.
Let's go. So yeah, they were the only ones that use. Again, this puts them on the map for
Military.
that
For
reason.
one.
For one.
Yeah.
And then after that, again, because of the U.S.'s role in that, again, atomic bombs.
Yeah. So it kind of mirrored what happened in World War One, where they're the de facto.
They're the deciding factor. Yeah,
they were the winning factor to win the war, and yeah.
That as if their ego wasn't like stroked hard enough by the last two conflicts that we talked about.
But anyways, World War is done.
World War II is
whatever
done.
the fuck we're done.
Whoever president establishes or successfully now establishes the United Nations, like this is where the UN came from, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're still headquartered in New York, for God's sake.
I thought, no, I'm talking about the Geneva. Never mind.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I'm talking about something different. But yeah, so it kind of started this entire, the first, that sea that I was talking about, what had happened with the Treaty of Versailles. Now it's starting to grow because now all of a sudden the U.S. is quote unquote called as the peacemakers by Bill Clinton, and we're gonna play the clip right here.
We should be and we must be peacemakers.
Thank you, Bill. Anyways, so it kind of started this notion of the U.S. being the peacemakers, the peacekeepers,
the ones that like will decide whether or not a country, gets the freedom and democracy and all these American values,
McCarthyism.
The Western values, as the people in the East like to call it.
And we're not touching on the Cold War because that's a whole.
No.
Okay. Ignoring the McCarthyism for now.
Yeah.
Because
back to the financial stuff.
we forgot something.
Yeah.
My bad. Appending. Financially, everyone is in ruin again because all of the wars happened on their fucking soil.
Yeah.
Whereas the U.S. has never had. Fun fact: the U.S. had never fought a war on their own soil.
Yeah.
Excluding Hawaii, but Hawaii is its own thing. Free Hawaii.
Fuck Lilo and Stitch, the live action one.
The live action. Fuck you. Don't get me started. But anyways, another thing that the U.S. started was the World Bank. It is Bretton Woods Accordance or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Which kind of started the global financial system, aka
the World Bank.
The World Bank, which happened in New Hampshire. Just
some vacation spot in like the Northeast. Like
some vacation spot in the Northeast is like, this is where the World Bank happened. I'm just like,
okay, I guess. And the International Monetary Fund on top of that too.
Like slay, wonderful slay. But yeah, again, another like win, so to say.
Yeah, for
colloquially, for the U.S. to be seen as the superpower,
the greatest country in the world,
with a lot of like asterisks.
Yeah.
51 asterisks in total.
One for each state, plus Canada.
Sorry.
Almost up, bitches.
Sorry. Anyways, okay, we're going around. Okay. So World War One, World War Two, we had League of Nations, United Nations now. We have the World Bank now. Cold War had happened, but we're not touching it because of all the McCarthyism and again
the espionage and the romanticization of it all.
CIA. Oh, don't know.
No.
I'm blind.
Or like the horses in the kalesa.
I purposely ignored that part
Yeah.
because it's a whole kind of worms that we don't have time to open because
No.
we're in it for a ride.
No.
So all of these things accumulated to, like I said before, having the U.S. having their wins underneath their belt, aka them becoming one of the biggest world superpowers of the world.
Mhm.
The yardstick that everybody measures their dick to, as so we say in the first episode, right?
Yeah.
We're having fun. We're having so much
We're having
fun.
a great fucking time.
but yeah, so that's kind of the comeuppance of the United of States. And doing this research, this actually opened up my eyes to why the fuck are they spending so much
On defense?
yeah on defense and military. I didn't know. I'm ignorant.
Get your blenders on.
But like this actually opened up my eyes to see like why the fuck are they spending so much money on defense, and like why are they punching down on people who aren't spending as much money on their defense? Because like y'all literally built your fucking country on the backs of slaves and Native Americans, and two, literally on war. That's your biggest industry. So after all of that has happened, the dust has settled. Carnage
Not in the States, though.
anywhere but in the States.
Yeah.
Deep gashes everywhere but the States. Blood in the river.
Except
Anywhere
in the States.
but the States has happened. So I think we're all smart people. I think
Hopefully.
that economically wise, financially wise, the only people who are okay are the United of States. Right?
In America.
In America. So that resulted into
Well, it's the post-war boom, effectively. Like, this is, the 1950s when...
this is where your great grandma, like your stupid fucking grandma, saying, "In back in my days, this
My
is why."
house cost $32.
It's because it's post-war.
Yeah, like, this again was this is the classical interpretation of the American dream came from.
Classical one.
Yeah,
the
like
true
the-
Americana one.
Yeah, your house, your car, your white picket fence, your 2.3 children, your dog.
One of them was aborted. That's what the rose bushes was for.
Yeah. But yeah, this is where like the American dream, as we've come to think of it, like originally, this is where it like boom. This is where it started. Right?
And that was the classical version of the American dream. How about now? That was like what? It's 2025.
Yeah, that's been like over 70 years ago
Like,
now. at
yeah,
this point.
nearly 100 years,
Yeah.
give or take. I don't do math. How does the old Americana way of thinking, the old American dream, hold up to these day and age? More specifically, to BIPOC people, to immigrants, to black people, to
Yeah.
queer people,
The women,
to anybody who
everyone else.
isn't white or man.
or straight or Christian.
Yay!
Hooray! Okay, so we say this with a lot of contempt. James Adams really ate with that definition of the American
You
dream.
little shit.
So he was very much right to highlight the social mobility aspect of it, right? And the right of every person to achieve what it is that they dream about. However, the quote does go on. Whatever Tree said at the beginning is just a very small snippet of it, and it's the one snippet that everybody hones in on.
Yeah.
It's the get rich part. Yeah. Nobody ever talks about the second part. Which
Nobody
is-
ever talks about Bruno. This is Bruno. We're talking about Bruno now.
Yeah. So nobody ever talks about that, especially that social mobility aspect of it, right? Everybody just focuses on the get rich part.
Exactly. On that note, let's. Okay, this is not gonna be because I think everybody has a good understanding of like what the 1950s was, but just for sake of like format sake and just because we're both Libras, we're gonna talk about the I like to call it Old Testament American Dream,
Yeah.
which is the 1950s. So, what? One thing that I guess this is because I'm not really interested in American history. It was actually dubbed as the golden age of capitalism because high wages, minimal inflation, low unemployment rates, and high consumerism because there were everybody had a job,
Mhm.
and everybody it was a lot easier for you to get a high paying job like
Yeah.
a clerk job going into manager going to whatever and all
For
these
more
things.
info, check out episode 1.
Exactly. And like you can even look at like how innovative everything was,
Yeah.
like to the makeup, to the cars, to the
The household appliances.
everything. It was literally Jetsons
Yeah, seriously.
on crack.
Yeah.
And like we don't see this nowadays, and we can talk about that in a different episode. Not in this
Not
one,
right
no.
now.
Not in this one. And it doubled America's gross productivity.
Right.
Again, that's because Industrial Revolution, also mainly because
Now the
They-
golden age of capitalism.
and they were probably the only fucking country who can kind of produce anything at a large scale basis because their lands were not fucking gushed down. There were no bloods of river. There was no carnage, so to say. And like yeah, there was ample job supplies and opportunities and high wages as well. And like this is where the like we said, and we're gonna reiterate, this is where the white picket fence dream of
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah, basically, it's your home ownership with the little family and suburbia, effectively, right?
And a lot of people think about that, and I guess just because that's what media like to portray, because that's the
That was the mainstream.
that was a mainstream, and that's the sanitized version of what the
Mhm.
1950s is
Mhm.
about. But like a 1950s, whoa! But at the 1950s, also there's a flip side to that, right?
Yes.
Because there were more than anything rigid gender norms
Mhm.
for women.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, throwing again the household, the angel of the household
This
is
is
very
where
much still present.
This is where it fucking thrives.
Yeah,
Right? Because this is where you.
this
like,
is where the tradwife trend takes its shit from.
That's the Old Testament. Let's
Mhm.
look at the New Testament. The
What
modern.
is what is the New Testament tell us about the modern dream? Yeah, exactly. So the modern dream now, with what we said about stagnating wages and higher cost of living from the first episode,
We're gonna plug it forever.
it all ties in together. So with that, I guess the new dream now, when before it was your house and your white picket fence and your car and your children, your family, whatever. I think now that's shifted
Oh yeah, definitely.
to like now. The joke now is that millennials can't even afford a home. Their
Okay.
dream now is the 1 bedroom studio apartment.
That's my dream.
That's my dream. Exactly.
I don't want to fucking have a house. Depending. Oh,
We'll see.
Tangent.
Yeah. Yeah.
We watched an NBC report how they were actually talking about the exact same thing that we're talking about for
Yeah.
this episode. Is like
What does the new dream look like?
and a lot of them, well, a lot of them talk like kind of focused on like Gen Z more or so
Mhm.
because I think the millennials. The reason why they're looking for a house is because they're still looking at the white picket fence
Yeah.
and they're still chasing that dream. Whereas Gen Z and like Alpha,
Well, Gen Alpha is still in school, but eventually, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all kind of thinking about it at a different point of view. Like
Mhm.
for one, we're tagging along like jobs from episode one.
Yeah.
Is a lot of them were thinking about working from home because
Mhm.
it possesses to give you more of a stable work life.
Right. And like
Balance.
a better chance at a better work-life balance. You're
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And another thing that they were speaking about is like the American dream
Outside of
the
America now is more achievable outside of America. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there they can probably have their better wages, probably better social
Social climate.
economical climates for particular people.
Yeah, and that also like ties into the whole work from home because like now you can take your work anywhere you please, right?
Mhm,
Basically.
right?
So-
And like it's kind of funny because the newscasters were just like, "Yeah, you're working, but you're in the beach." I'm just like, I'm still
that's
working.
one way to frame it, I guess.
Yeah, but like you're still working, you're still
Mhm.
getting your hours, and
Mhm.
like doesn't. Why do you care where I am?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, right? But like yeah, that's more of the modern interpretation
Mhm.
of the American dream, so to say. It's not really rooted in Americana, it's more rooted in a person's comfort.
Livelihood. Yeah, and yeah, the means by which they get that comfort.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a bit, it rings truer to the latter um, definition of James Adams' um, The American Dream from Epic of America,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it talks more about social order and talks more
Yeah.
about like the very first line of it was like what is it? It's not a dream of motor cars.
It's not. Here, let me pull it up.
Yeah, it's not a dream of motor cars
Mhm.
and high wages merely, but a dream of social order in which each man and woman shall be able to attain fullest stature of which they are innately capable of.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't speak like highly about monetary value. It speaks about like what you want to do, like within the social order and stuff like that. And again, it kind of um, also it doesn't allude to gender or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
very general speaking of like any person who is willing to attain something.
Yeah, who is willing to work hard to achieve those dreams, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So that's more like I feel like Gen Z's modern interpretation of the American dream really does align with the forgotten,
The forgotten portion
the
of
Bruno part of James Adams's the American dream.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about. We did pose a
Yeah.
question at the very beginning of the
Yeah.
episode. Is like, can we
as people of color, like as part of a marginalized group,
any marginalized
or
group
any marginalized group, is it possible for us to achieve that sort of like, social mobility, that comeuppance,
Mhm.
right?
You know what does that kind of like remind me of? Like what that sounds like to me. It reminds me of the OG Grimm brothers stories versus what this Disney decides
Yeah.
to output.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And more specifically, at least at the time when we were writing the script, we were thinking about Pocahontas, even though she is not a Grimm brother, but like it's kind of like real life versus like fantasy illusions.
Yeah.
And
Whatever the sanitized white Disney version
yep,
of it was.
and for it to be more topical and be more relevant for today, or like these days, anyways, is Lilo and Stitch the live action versus the animated version, the more
Yeah.
superior version, the actually correct version.
The actual just canon version.
Yeah, like the one that the only one that I'm actually recognizing version.
Yeah. The one where Pleakley's gay. Like openly. Like Slay Diva. Anyway.
Anyways, we're not gonna go into with too much because if I go into it, I might.
We'll be here for 6 hours.
Exactly, and no one's. I have shit to do apparently. I have therapy, so. but but yeah, it reminds me of that, and that reminded me of the next point because I have ADHD. Is the story that I heard about the Statue of Liberty. So I know about this story through Dr. Joy. She's the one who coined post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Mhm.
From everybody who kind of knows what PTSD is or like has an idea about, you can kind of mix it in. Context clues. Y'all are
Mhm.
smart-ish. You got this.
We hope.
So she's been going around a book tour of sorts to like to promote the revision of her book,
Right.
I should say.
yes.
And she has this little story about the Statue of Liberty. Now, the way that she tells her story, I personally can't corroborate because I don't have access to the
We
Statue
don't
of
live in
Liberty.
New York. Staten Island isn't just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
And I'm scared.
It would require crossing a border.
So
So new.
she knew, and if I bought her book, it might take a month and some days to like.
We ain't got that time.
So I'm just gonna tell the story how I know about it, and if you're interested in about learning more about how she tells the story, we have links down below.
Mhm.
Anyways, so when you look at the Statue of Liberty, instantly in the mind, what comes to mind, or like what do you picture?
Torch and the whatever the little
The slab that
or
says,
slab.
I think it's for the state of
Something or other.
independence. I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Not American for us.
Yeah, but so the original. So what had Dr. Joy said, and what my research have also that part we can corroborate in, is one of the original designs of the Statue of Liberty, the sculpture actually wanted it to be a torch still. She still had her toga
Right.
because there's like symbolism and shit like that. But on the other hand, instead of the slab of whatever the fuck, it was supposed to be broken chains instead of that. So, and for those who don't know, um, there was an abolitionist who was part of the team. Not team, I guess team in like modern terms.
Yeah.
That was in charge of the design and like the actual,
Like the building and
yeah, like the
and
actual
installation of
installation
Lady
of
Liberty.
Miss Lady Liberty. At the time, so it kind of coincided at the time that like yes, maybe having broken chains would be a really good like symbolism, right?
Yeah.
But there were issues that came to pass because Statue of Liberty was fundraised, wasn't a government issued.
No, like they had the fundraise to bring that up, but it took them like what 20
20
years?
years, yeah,
Yeah.
20 years for it to do it. And also the fact the team, again using modern terms, is was a little bit hesitant to put in the chains at the time because of one, they didn't want the statue to be political. It's gonna be political nonetheless. Two, the climate of overall of the US of A at the time was a little, tensions were rising from all aspects because it at the time, for those who don't know, Abraham Lincoln was kicking about.
Yeah, Emancipation Proclamation, etc., etc.
And they just kicked out Great Britain for a hot minute now. So the broken chains you would have seen as a really good signifier, especially her name's Lady Liberty, Statue of Liberty, but due to all of the
political climate, let's say.
they kind of um, decided against it.
So they sanitized it a little bit.
And Dr. Joy claims that she found a document where Boyd sculptor actually fought to keep the chains in. I personally can't find that, so if she says it's there and she has proof of it, or like she saw it, then good for it. For me personally, I can't claim that because I do not know. But when you look at the Statue of Liberty, do we see chains?
Looking at it from pictures online or like looking at it like that? No.
Absolutely not.
No.
How you see the chains is if you go all the way to the tippy top. Either you used to be able to, but not anymore because shit happened. Either in the torch or in the little crown thing. Or if you're fancy, you take a helicopter all the way up and then you look down into her feet. And that's where you see the chains. She had shackles on.
Yeah. Like these are broken chains now. Too,
Yes,
right?
they are broken chains, mind you. We need to emphasize that they are broken chains, and the chains are sort of kind of like hidden.
Yeah, because if you look at it, like if you look at pictures online, they have pictures online. But
Who's looking at her feet? I'm sorry.
do we really want to ask that?
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, if you look at the pictures of like the looking at the chains from like say a helicopter ride, you can see that the chains they're barely like you could barely see them because like they look like they're melted into the pedestal.
And they're also like hidden majority of, like a lot of them are hidden in the toga itself.
Yeah.
But there is that still signifying of like the chains being broken. And it kind of in my head it's a very good interpretation of what it means to be an American dream, because who was the Statue of Liberty kind of meant for?
Right. Well, I mean, context clues: Lady Liberty, the name Liberty, the broken chains at her feet, which a little Easter egg, and New York, which at the time
was the hub. It's a port city.
It's a port city. It's a hub for immigration.
If you're going to the U.S. at that time,
you're landed in New York City 1st, pretty much,
right? And and also there's a famous poem that is very much linked to Miss Lady Liberty herself, to the point that they actually have a plaque, bronze plaque somewhere. Don't know where. Don't ask me. Somewhere around there.
Again. So yes, again, the poem that three is referencing here, Emma Lazarus, The New Colossus. We won't read it to you now. You can look that up on your own. But like again, most famous lines: "Give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your hungry," etc., etc.
Yes.
Right. So again, a message to the immigrants coming into by boat usually to New York City to start a new life in America. Right? They are running away from poverty, famine, war, conflict.
whatever.
And you know what that's called? That's called being a refugee.
Asylum seeker
You are looking to come to a new country
for safety.
for safety purposes and to be away from strife. So,
That sounds like something.
awfully familiar,
That sounds like something, right?
doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it? And another thing about the chains is it kind of reminds me of, for me, it's a perfect interpretation of what the American dream is like for immigrants specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lady Liberty stands for the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Because welcoming in immigrants and like welcome to the land of opportunity and welcome to the land of the free.
Yeah.
Though we do have some things hidden, and
Well, a little thing if you know,
it
leave it
hidden
the
in,
pedestal.
hit
let's say.
and a little hidden in plain sight, especially if you have the means to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So moving forward, I guess this is a little bit of a disclaimer and a trigger warning because we are going to be talking about some distressing things involving women's bodies
And children.
and children particularly, but we won't go into any detail for
Right,
one.
not right now.
No, you're fine. But we are just warning you that that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
be talking about for this episode or for this section of the episode, I guess.
Yeah. So I want to start this section off with I like what you said during our like talks after like sharing our research and stuff like that about how Lady Justice
Oh,
and
yeah.
Lady Liberty go
Mhm.
hand in hand
Mhm.
often.
Mhm.
First of all, slay divas.
They're lesbians.
Hell yeah. And like you said something about like if there is no justice, there is no liberty.
Yes.
No justice, no peace. But I like how you said that because that I think is a good springboard for us to jump off of
Mm-hmm.
because we're now going to talk about habeas corpus.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might have seen in the news recently, around the time that we're filming here at least, that the current American administration
Mhm.
is trying to suspend habeas corpus. So yeah, habeas corpus. So I guess we'll clear the air 1st
Mhm.
about what habeas corpus even is, because it seems like a lot of people,
Are confused.
in very prevalent positions of power surrounding this.
Y'all should know
Let's.
what this is. You're in the fucking federal
Yeah,
government.
I wish we had a little bit of shame, or like a little portion of shame here for Christy Nome. We'll get into that later. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, habeas corpus
Mhm.
is the let's call it a fundamental right that in at least in the American Constitution, that's how they word it, the fundamental right for every person,
Yeah.
not citizen, person,
Mm-hmm.
the right to due process effectively.
And also know what you were.
And know what, if you are accused of a crime, what crime you're being accused of.
Okay. On a side note, you see how we're emphasizing person because within the U.S. Constitution, why the fuck does two Canadians know your Constitution better than you? I don't fuck know. But anyways,
I knew about it mainly because Whoopi Goldberg has a pocket-sized version that she pulled out on TV in a rage, rightfully so.
but within the Constitution, it is not unconstitutional for undocumented people to stay within the U.S. of states.
Mhm.
It is not unconstitutional, aka it's not illegal. There's no. Let's not even get into like there's no illegal.
There's no legal soul in that.
Like-
Like putting that out of it for now.
But it is not unconstitutional for undocumented people to stay in the United States. I need you people to understand that they are not illegals because it ain't illegal
And that undocumented doesn't automatically mean that you cross the border
illegally.
on foot avoiding CBP. Like that honestly just means that you don't have your papers in order and that you're eventually going to, but it's taking a long time because bureaucracy, red tape, etc., etc. Whatever.
It could have just lapsed. Fuck off.
That's the thing, is that like most undocumented
A lot of
immigrants,
people are just lapsing.
they've just lapsed on their visa.
Anyways,
Tangent.
redirecting.
So anyway, habeas corpus. To bring it back to that, in the American Constitution, habeas corpus is explicitly mentioned in Article 1, paragraph Section 9, whatever it is.
Paragraph 9.
But like it's in Article 1 specifically.
Mhm.
So Article 1 in the American Constitution covers the legislative branch. And what is the legislative branch in the United States?
The people who said no to the League of Nations.
The United States Congress. Okay? Congress. Unfortunately, Republican right now, but
Congress.
we'll gloss over that right now. Congress is the only branch of government of the three branches, co-equal, coexisting branches,
Mhm.
to have jurisdiction over habeas corpus and its suspension or its implementation.
Guess who does it? Guess.
The fucking executive branch, which covers the White House, the representatives of the White House, and the cabinet,
AKA Donald fucking Trump.
and Kristi Noem.
Shut up.
So, all this to say, the executive branch has absolutely no jurisdiction over suspending habeas corpus. Okay, again, habeas corpus is a fundamental right granted to every
Person.
on U.S. soil, and it's only Congress and only Congress who
can suspend it.
has the right and the power to suspend it, and only for this is the only provision that it has, only for invasion or rebellion. Those are the two words that they use in the Constitution.
Which is not currently happening unless you think.
Unless you count the Republicans taking all of the House and the Senate and the White House an invasion. I personally do, but that's an opinion. Anyway, so with that being said, habeas corpus, again, is being threatened by this administration who constitutionally does not have the jurisdiction or right to suspend it.
Yes.
Yes? And yet, we see all these orders infringing upon maybe not habeas corpus itself, but
like,
on its little tidbits. Right?
like
Again,
it's
due process.
nipping at it.
Yeah.
Very much nipping at it. Like
Mhm.
an example of that is ICE being able to go into your house without a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
That is against habeas corpus because you need to know what they're there for.
And that warrants a warrant for one, right? And like I think again, habeas corpus is a fundamental, like, enshrined right in the Constitution. Yes, for any person on U.S. soil. However, I want to talk about the children of undocumented immigrants who, for several reasons, including being separated from their parents either before they get to the border crossing
Yes.
or during ICE raids,
We're separated
where
away.
they were separated from their parents because their parents were charged with a crime or something. And now these children who I think this was the Department of Defense
I
that
think so, yes.
that has this term on their on one of their articles. They are called unaccompanied alien children, or UAC for short,
Very dehumanizing.
for one. But that is the official term that they use for these unaccompanied children. And these unaccompanied children, they are then put into these court hearings, like immigration court hearings, by themselves
With no representation. They're
No
representing
representation.
themselves. Going into court to represent themselves. These are like under 10.
Yes.
Like 6, 7 years old.
4 years old in some cases. And all they have, because like most of these immigrants are like, Hispanic, let's say, or from Latin America. All they have to help them out is a pair of over-the-ear headphones, often too big for the little children's heads, with a translator in their ear translating what the judge or whoever else is there is saying.
Exactly.
Now, as a 4-year-old, would you happen to know the word lawyer? How would you have ever heard of it before?
All I know is 4-year-old was milk.
Yeah. So at 4 years old, these Spanish-speaking children, for example, they hear the word abogado or something, whatever the Spanish is for lawyer, in their ears. Do you think they're going to understand that specific word?
No.
Absolutely the fuck not. So what makes you think that this child, this 4-year-old, for example, child, would know how to
Represent themselves.
represent themselves in a court
effectively.
for immigration? And that's why in the main resource that I looked at for this on like UAC,
Yes.
there's a short film on YouTube called Unaccompanied. We have it linked in the resources down below.
It's a really good watch.
Yeah, it's fairly short, and like the visuals, it's all like dramatization, but the script of it is entirely off of court transcripts from these hearings of these undocumented children.
And the photos of the children with just big old headphones is so heartbreaking. If you guys are watching on YouTube, we'll have some photos up on the screen right now.
Mhm.
But if you're not, it's really heartbreaking because imagine being being fucking all you know is Blue's Clues or something like that, and having to represent yourself in two languages that you don't understand.
Right.
There's layers to that.
Heartbreaking, right? So in the film as well, it's spiced in with like little statistics.
Yes.
And like I don't know how up to date those are because it's from like somewhere in the
Twen-
mid like 20,
2010?
2018,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, something like that. So the statistics may have changed a little bit. I don't know if it's gotten better. Probably not.
Probably not, considering
But
what life is doing.
yeah, exactly. And like 9 out of 10 of these like cases, since they don't have representation, they're often deported back. Because like, what case are you going to win if you're effectively?
If you don't know what you're doing in front of court, you're gonna lose. I'm sorry,
You're-
you're gonna
you're
lose.
going to like just be like, judge will be like, send them back.
Like there's nothing that you can do unless that you are up against like
And like
a
that's the
good
thing.
judge.
Is that the thing? Is that like the United States is always like the United States side in that hearing? They're always represented by a lawyer.
Exactly.
So there's this weird. It's
It's such a weird imbalance. It's a
It's-
4-year-old kid versus like an Ivy League, more like I don't know if it's Ivy League,
like a
but
lawyer, like
somebody
a
who
full
passed
blown
the
lawyer.
bar.
Yeah. So anyway, so to bring this back to like due process and habeas corpus, remember how I said every person has the right to due process, which should include proper representation.
Yes.
So I don't know why. I don't know what clause like contradicts this.
Yes.
But like those children they aren't like the United States isn't obligated to provide them with representation.
And that's kind of like I feel like there's loopholes that they're using
Yeah.
for these kids because yes, they're going through habeas corpus, they're being
They're going
told,
through a trial. Yes, fine.
but like how effective is the trial if you have no representation? If you yourself don't know what language you're talking about?
If you can't even spell the word representation, for God's sake.
Right? So this is one of those things. This is one instances where the Constitution is being twisted and being used against immigrants.
Yeah.
And,
Who like these immigrant children? It's like them and their parents. What are they trying to come to America for? Like you said with Lady Liberty, they have a dream to have a better life in the United States.
Yes.
Because wherever the hell they're coming from, they'll be killed.
Dude,
They'll like. Huh?
I need to everybody to picture what it is when you cross the border. The borders are usually in Texas, right?
Yeah, Texas and like Southern California,
So a lot of desert.
New Mexico. Yeah.
Imagine going through the torturous, because it is torturous, to walk, run. There's like wild fucking animals out there on top of the cartels and shit like that.
Yeah, and the CBP.
To cross the border for a better life.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but like, you really think they're doing this to smuggle in drugs? Some of them might, but that's probably because they have no choice. We need to stop demonizing kids, is what I'm trying to say, especially these kids.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is that when they somehow do find this representation,
It's true.
the deportations goes from 9 out of 10, it slashes by 50%. And like this is all like this again. You can watch this in the video. And again, I don't know how updated the statistics are now for this year of our Lord 2025, but I don't imagine it's changed much, if for the better.
And like you said, y'all heard that 50%. From
Their
9
chances were slashed of getting deported slashed by 50%, by half.
So it takes 50% just because you have representation, because you have somebody qualified to speak for you,
On your behalf. Yeah.
right?
And this is we're talking just about the unaccompanied children here, mind you.
Yes.
So
And like there's tons of other cases like similar to this that we don't even have to look at children.
no.
There's tons of other cases similar to this where people are getting due process, and more specifically, they're probably immigrants. They're probably undocumented. They're probably BIPOC people.
They're non-white.
Yeah. And they have to go through this with either mismanaged representation or just no representation at all. If you do have, and what I'm trying to say is like, a lot of people are just trying to play the game. I understand that. And a lot of people who are not in the same playing field you have to give them a hand.
No.
Because then it's not a level playing field.
No.
Right? Especially when, like what I said, when it comes to undocumented people, to immigrants, and to BIPOC people. Moving on to not a better. It's not better, but like we wanted to do. So that one was like prevalent pre-Trump.
Oh yeah, that's been a thing since like
2000 something.
before ICE was even a thing.
Exactly.
God.
So like that was a thing for pre-Trump, and that was when habeas corpus was actually able to be enacted.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
when
had
things were
rights.
good and habeas corpus wasn't in danger of being taken away.
Well, in general, you just had rights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What happens if your rights were taken away?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we are able to see in this day and age of
God, in
2025.
real time.
In this big boy year of 2025 is we're gonna focus more on women's rights because they're the ones who've, other than like the transgender community, women's rights have been slowly been
Eroded.
are eroding, and the biggest ones, especially so far, is Roe v. Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Right, the right to be able to have a rightful abortion. So, for those who don't know, what is currently happening in the U.S. is there is a 30-year-old nurse. Her name is Adriana Smith in Atlanta, Georgia, and she is brain dead. She's been brain dead for 3 months now. So, it's really difficult because it's so fucking hard to talk about. She's been brain dead and she's being kept on life support, not out for her parents. No, it's more for because she's pregnant. And when she was pronounced brain dead at the time, she was with child. And in Atlanta, Georgia, you can only have an abortion 6 weeks, within 6 weeks.
It's bullshit, but
Yeah, that doesn't
another time.
that doesn't mean anything. She at that time she was already past that. So with no any other viable option, she was kept on life support for 3 months. And I've tried looking into updates for Adriana Smith. Unfortunately, I can't really look. I wasn't able to find anything currently about her, so my what I'm trying to tell you is a little bit out of date at the time of recording. Um, but this is one thing I do know: her family wants her to rest. Her family wants her to already to because she's already gone. She's brain dead. She like machines are the one who are keeping her alive, and they're only doing that for the baby. Even the families have pointed out that like we don't know if the kid might like when the kid comes out, they
Will it
might
be
be
alive?
behind.
Yeah,
They might be blind. They might have.
they might be malnourished. They might have like some sort of disability from birth.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't know.
Exactly. Again, not a lot of people are kept on life support for
For incubation purposes, effectively.
one for incubation because this is out of like this is straight out of Handmaid's Tale, and two for this long of a period of time. When somebody's pronounced brain dead, what hospitals would usually do is they'll keep them on just for the sake for the family to be able to have a proper goodbye to them.
Yeah.
Because it's inhumane. It's inhumane. That's one of the biggest reasons why they don't do it. Is because it's inhumane to keep this person on this earth and not being able to give them rest.
Yeah.
Again, for those who don't know, I'm just gonna emphasize when you're brain dead, nothing works. Nothing works. Her brainstem is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that means she's hooked up into machines. She's hooked up into life support machines, and there's only so much that they can do. Another thing is when you're brain dead, hormones are getting
They aren't getting released.
no. There's only so much that the medical staff are able to like do in terms for your hormones, but not all of them. And again, she's just being used as an incubator.
Yeah.
That is it. They cannot do anything without quote unquote breaking the law. Because what?
Because there's a fucking abortion ban.
In Atlanta, Georgia. And like I feel bad not only for Adriana Smith, I feel bad for the baby because like imagine if they do come out healthy, there's already trauma around your birth, and like I can't even imagine that. I can't
No.
even imagine her immediate family towards that child. I don't know. It's a lot. It's there's no it's all the only thing is like it's grossly inhumane what they're doing to her,
Yeah.
and because one of the rights was taken away for a rightful abortion, because at that time it was like that's the only humane thing that you can do at that time
Yep.
is to have an abortion for them, because the child's not going to have a mom. I admittedly I didn't look into her personal life because I didn't think it was going to be too relevant for me personally to go too much into her personal life. But yeah, just imagine like the trauma, the hurt that the family's having to go through watching your daughter who has passed be used as a glorified incubator.
Hmm.
And again,
And again, there's no guarantee that the child A will live.
no one knows. No one
B,
knows.
like we don't know what the lack of effectively like nutrients and hormones that like again, the woman
baby's
is
gonna
brain
need.
dead.
Yeah.
No like very little, if any, nutrients are like coursing through the woman's system, and whatever's
There
there
is.
is just it's plainly because of like the machines pumping shit through her,
Yeah,
but which is
and
never
like the
going to be as
medical staff
effective.
and the medical staff like giving nutrients to the baby, but like at the same time, what? Mm. It's this is. Can we just talk plainly? This is playing God.
Seriously,
This is playing God. This is playing God. This is what you guys are vehemently against.
yeah, apparently.
This is one of your fucking talking points. You guys don't want to play God. You're doing it right now. And again, we end up in this situation because one of the key rights for women when it comes to women's agency has been rolled back through state Roe v. Wade, and a lot of people didn't. If you have any type of, if you were interested in any type of medical history, a lot of people, it hasn't passed them that this very much is harkening
Cross
back.
parallels.
It's harkening back to the history of g-
Gynecology.
gynecology,
Gynecology.
where a lot of the experiments and
A lot of
of
the advancements that
were
they made.
done on black women's body more specifically, with no anesthetic, with no consent whatsoever,
with no regard for their life.
not for safety, for comfort, nothing. All of these advancements were done on their bodies, and you can kind of see that with Adriana Smith again, but this time it's not for advancement. It's just being cruelty. So we we're gonna take a breath.
We're gonna step back for a second now. Um, so we'll broaden the look on this then. So what does this tell us about like
Why
what
did we bring these
why
up?
do we bring these up and like why is this relevant to the American dream? Well, I mean like we came to the conclusion earlier
Yes.
that like um, what's it called?
The starting points are different for everybody.
Yeah. So already you can see that like people from marginalized communities, such as immigrant families, children, uh, AFAB people, black people, like
Mm-hmm.
the starting point for those like marginalized communities is completely different to that of
A straight white man.
straight white cisgender heterosexual Christian Republican man. Okay, so and like the American dream has always been built off of the vision and the trajectory, let's
Yes.
say, of that straight cis hetero white Christian nationalist man. Yes.
Yes.
So James Adams' original definition,
Mhm.
the post-war boom of the 1950s,
Mhm.
that was all through the lens of
All
the
straight
white
white men.
experience.
Yes.
So the goalposts, as it were, for that demographic have moved, as we've talked about, right?
Yes.
The American dream is now different for, like let's say the New Testament.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with these marginalized communities, since the starting post is, let's be honest, so far behind.
So far, the
It's
starting
so
point is
fucking far behind.
the starting point is the end goal for some people.
Honestly, okay, so I was gonna say that the original goalpost for the straight white Christian man, those are goalposts, but now you're right. The starting point for that white man is now the goalpost for these disadvantaged communities,
Mhm.
right? So, in all of these things, for the UAC at their immigration hearings, for
Mhm.
people like Adriana Smith who are being used by the
Yes.
state,
Mhm.
like the dream really is just to be able to have agency.
The dream is to be able just to be a person,
To be seen as a person, to be treated as a person.
to have rights as a person. And that, I guess this is where we named this. This is why we named this episode the way that we named it, is because, like, is it Delulu? Is it is at this
Are we
point?
delusional to think that, like, hey, I'm still trying to make my way through this capitalist hellscape society
Mhm,
where I might not even make the next day,
mhm.
right? For a lot of these people.
Yes.
Is that delusional? That's the question that we've come to really in writing this episode.
Yeah. Is it delusional, or is there actually a solulu to the Delulu?
Yeah.
Right. And just to, I guess, to answer it for a little bit, one of the key experience of any immigrant in any nation, like whether you be in Canada or whether you be in the US or wherever, is, especially if you are visibly marginalized, if you are visibly
A minority.
a minority, is resilience and
Yeah, as part of resistance too. Right?
and resistance.
Yeah.
Right? It's a key cornerstone to the immigrant
Mm-hmm.
and, like, I'm sorry, not expectation. It shouldn't be an expectation, but low-key it is an expectation. I was saying experience is resistance and resilience. Is it fair?
Absolutely the fuck
fucking
not.
You want to pass that goalpost to be able to even think of an American dream, whether that be the modern dream that we talked about in chapter the previous
Yeah,
chapter,
previous chapter.
or the original white picket fence with with the dog. The Old Testament American dream is you better you you gotta sit down and you gotta fucking grit your teeth and just
Just
power through it, dude.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, and that, again, that is a keystone experience. And
Well, to sum this all up, my thinking, what it reminds me of is, Maslow, hierarchy of
Yes.
needs. Yes, we are all aware of that. People have taken grade 12 psychology. um, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the top, of course, would be self-actualization, yada, yada, yada. To get to there, the whole reason why people always depict it as a pyramid, yes, you have your base, you have all the steps up. You're very basic, like the baseline foundation for everything above it
Mhm.
is your physiological needs and
Mhm.
your safety needs. And for a lot of these disadvantaged communities,
They don't
unaccompanied
even have.
children, Adriana Smith, they don't have the physiological needs. Their physiological needs are not being met.
With Adriana Smith, she's dead.
She's literally dead. Their safety needs aren't being met because, like, especially for asylum seekers,
Yes.
you're always in danger of being caught either by the cartel you're running away from or by
ICE
the
at this point.
ICE and CBP
It's
that
too-
are trying to throw you back towards the cartel anyway.
It's two cartels.
But yeah, so none of those needs are being met.
Mhm.
And so you cannot possibly think about getting to the last three, whatever it is. It was love and belonging and something else.
Something
plus
else, yeah.
Actualization.
Yeah.
Okay, you cannot be, to throw it back to James Adams, you cannot realize the fullest of your potential without those two, like, non-negotiable foundations.
Yes. There are foundations for a reason. This is your core. This is the core of everybody. Is your physical I cannot say that word.
Physiological.
Physiological
Yeah.
needs and safety.
Mm-hmm.
Because without those two things, you are always going to be in survival mode. Because without those two things, you are not even going to be able to think of a brighter future. Because all you're thinking is, like, how am I going to survive for the next day? How am I going to get through the next 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you don't have those three met. So, is it delusional? I want to say yes. And that's the reason why we named it Welcome to Delulu-land. Because the American dream is delusional.
Yeah, it's kind of a fake it till you make it kind of situation anyway, which is what a delusion is. You're kind of faking it until you've achieved that, right?
And, like, it's a lot harder. It's so much harder to fake it if you have no rights. It's so much more harder if you don't have resources. It's so much more harder if you don't have a community.
It's so much harder if you don't have a guarantee of safety.
Anything.
No.
For anything, whatsoever.
Okay, so I know this is a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in for us. We know. Let alone constantly by yourself through like the news unwillingly. But what can we as normal people do about this? Um, well, especially if you are part of one of those marginalized groups or multiple of them, right? As like we both are. Um,
We just want to tell you
yeah, we
We're
just
all
want
in
to
this
say,
together.
yeah, we're all in this together.
we
y'all.
are
Like
all in this
we
together.
we've beat this to a dead horse, like a dead horse. But like
We're gonna continue.
we're gonna
this fucking
continue beating this fucking horse. This horse being Trump.
fascism.
Yeah. But like, yeah, we're gonna just continue to keep saying like, stand with your community, like identify with the people who have the same or have like similar lived experiences to you.
Mhm.
Identify with like people who may not have the same lived experiences, but who are also being oppressed by this regime.
Mhm.
Stand with them, and know that you're not alone.
Because
And
we are in this together.
we are in this
We're all
together.
in
Like
this
as
together.
corny as we sound right now,
We know
we
it's
know
corny.
it.
We
We're cringe. To be cringe is to be free.
We
in
purposely
the
picked
truest
it.
sense of the word.
This is a conscious choice we made. Do you understand it? We understand it's corny. We understand it's very much la-di-da, but at the same time, you
It's-
need the la-di-da to go through the hard times.
Yeah, and like you need the people in that community to get you through these hard times if you want to make it out relatively unscathed.
And just in the spirit of Pride Month, because we are filming during Pride Month, this is something that I heard multiple times throughout, like Instagram, and a lot of older drag queens do hearken this as well. Is like back in the olden days when the riots were still happening for Pride, because Pride is right. Pride started in a
Pride is
riot.
should be.
So being queer is ideologically and will always be political, whether you like it or not. Is they protest and they rioted in the morning, but in the evening they went off and danced and party,
Yeah.
because that's how you go through a crisis. That's how they went through the pride, like
The riots.
the
That's
riots,
how they got
through
through the
the
AIDS
AIDS crisis.
crisis.
and and that's why we're telling you this. That's why we're being cringe consciously for you people. Is we're telling you to protest and to resist and
Do all these things, but then
at the same
have
time
a good time with the people you identify with.
Mhm.
Have a good time with your community, your neighbors.
we keep on saying community because that is the most important thing. That
Rugged individualism does not work. Rugged
does not-
individualism does not work. Do you see how many alpha male podcasts there are, and they're all cringe
we are in
and shit.
but,
Another episode. Anyway,
but yes, you need to go out there. Unfortunately, as somebody who is a certified bona fide homebody, this is coming from me, y'all. He knows.
yeah.
Somebody who is a certified bona fide introvert is you do need to go out there and find a community.
Yeah, and stand with that community. Stand with other communities.
Mhm.
Stand together, because like, yeah, sure, the stupid voices, the conservatives and the maggots,
Are loud.
they're loud as fuck. But
we are louder,
statistically, we do outnumber them,
and we are louder,
and that no word of a lie, we do outnumber them. Like
and
there
we are more fabulous.
we're exactly we are we seriously we literally outnumber them.
We do. We actually
And
do.
like speaking politically in Canada, sure, the conservative government has like
A good
a
chunk of
chokehold on
the
y'all
House
for
of
some
Commons.
fucking reason. But if you get down to the nitty gritty of like policies,
Looking at the fucking my writing. Never mind. Okay.
anyway, but like if you look at like specific people, interview specific people, ask them about their policies, you're going to find, oh, so did you vote X Progressive Party here? No, I voted Conservative. Why? Another episode. But you will find that a lot of people have much more progressive views on things, despite not voting progressively. They have a lot more progressive views on things than you might realize, and there's a lot more of them that are like that. It's not everybody who's voted, say, conservative here
Yeah,
is a
so we're,
red burden.
we're talking about here.
We're
We're
talking
talking
about
about
here.
here. I don't
Talking
know
about
about the Bible Belt. I don't know about like the U.S. Y'all a little fucked up over there. I don't know about that.
Something
but,
in the
like,
water there
yeah.
that isn't fluoride.
But here a lot of people do have progressive views,
Yes.
but there might be a little misled when it comes to the party, when it comes to the policies
Yeah.
that are being enacted. Because I don't know if y'all like campaign season here is a little wild.
Well, first of all, a marathon for us is like what, 3 months? United States campaigns last for like 17,000 years. When did we start hearing about like Harris, Waltz, and like Trump Vance before the election? That was like
Like,
2
what?
years before. Jesus fucking Christ, y'all!
Dude, the administration just started. Y'all are talking about Trump 2040.
2028? You're selling Trump 2028 hats now, bitch. Who the fuck is buying? Actually, no, I don't want to know who the fuck is buying that shit.
Anyways, we're reeling it back. Reeling
Coming
it back.
back.
Is what we're telling you guys is sometimes some of the. I'm not telling you like go hug a Nazi. Absolutely no. You punch Nazi.
What's that shit?
Yell at a conservative, especially, but maybe talk with them a little bit,
Before you make that judgment.
and then you can make the judgment. I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah, if they're too close to being a Nazi.
But like use your own judgment as well. Like you guys are grown. Anyways, and we say these things, and we're purposely being cringe at the very beginning of this episode, or like at the very beginning of this chapter, I should say, is because like it's not all doom and gloom
No.
when it comes to the judicial side of that administration. Is to show you guys this is we're gonna tell you guys some of our favorite stories that has come
Some
out,
good news for once.
and we might like keep this running because
Because we need to. So one of my favorites is that like in Utah, the state of
oh
Utah.
my god, Salt City. Yeah.
Okay, so in Utah, as a state, they've banned pride flags from flying at like government buildings. So Salt Lake City, in protest, was like, okay, bet. So they made pride flags out of like their city flags.
Mhm.
So technically speaking, they can keep those up because it's a symbol of their city. Why can't we keep these
They
up?
put
Fuck
the
you.
city emblem on.
They put the city emblem on the pride flags, and then they raise them up and be like, "Happy Pride, motherfuckers!"
Now what?
Exactly.
Try me, bitch.
Amazing. We love
Try-
that. Thank you, Salt Lake City.
Try me, bitch. Another one that has happened that I love so much is the appeal court. Actually, y'all remember Doge? So when Doge decided, oh, we're gonna cut some spending, tax your rich for one, tax Elon Musk, but we're gonna cut some spending, and aka we're gonna get rid of a bunch of federal workers with no judicial
Like for no reason.
no justice cause for their removal or like their their removal from their position. Guess what the appeals court did? They were like, "Hey, Elon Musk." I'm just saying Elon Musk because it's Doge. You can't do that. Give their jobs back. And guess what? They did get their jobs back.
Yeah, because they had to.
They had to. Like as much as that fuckward of a person is able to like, oh, I'm just gonna cut you off. The judges are here. The judges are
This
here.
is like, actually, no.
Actually, that's not how that works. I don't know about in Twitter/X land, but that's not how that works here, dude.
And like, I guess to go off of that, recently, I don't know if this is like extra good news, whatever. But like, he did finish his term with Doge, Mr. Musk. So he's no
got
longer
pushed
in
out.
politics. He basically got pushed out.
He got pushed out.
He got pushed out. So
You
he's
can-
retreating back to Twitter.
You can try
And
to do
Tesla
all the
and all that.
like all of the PR optics all you want. You got pushed out.
Basically.
You're
So-
so annoying. Everybody hated you. And you
Yeah,
got
I
pushed
don't
out.
I don't know what the good ramifications of that are. It's just really funny news. Anyway, so like little rays of hope like that. We've also got a bunch of other like articles listed down below on like using joy as resistance, as we were talking about
Yes.
earlier. What to do when say the Insurrection Act is invoked. Just be informed. And a couple of other things that like the federal court blocks Trump's this order, which
And a lot of the courts that were appointed by Trump are blocking his own executive orders too.
Yes.
These were judges who were appointed by Trump himself. Which judge
It
was
was the was it Supreme Court blocks Trump from deporting under Alien Enemies Act from 1798.
and majority of the Supreme Court was
7-2. Amy Coney Barrett voted against it. She's a Trump appointee.
They're like I know because we know because Trump is very loud. We know because and like the maggots are also fucking loud because that's all they know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but and we have tons. They're all gonna be in.
They'll all be in the links and the resources. If you want a good laugh, we will provide.
Yeah, and the resources down below. There's a bunch underneath there. Something very recent is Trump is now aware. Do you know about taco? So Trump
So-
has became aware of what taco is.
So taco
Journalist
is.
said it to his face.
And he freaked out over it. Okay, so for those who haven't kept up in the loop, Wall Street, of all places, they coined the term taco. So it stands for Trump always chickens out.
Or tariffs, more specifically
Tariffs.
for tariffs, because he does this. He's been doing it since
Yeah.
day one. He will enact a tariff and then
And
rescind it,
rescind
and then
Not
enact
the
it,
tariff.
rescind it. We are all like right now. I think we are in the loop of like he withheld the tariff right now, and a
And-
journalist in the most recent, I forgot what it
I think
is.
it was the press, like the
AP.
someone, but like on the most recent like
Press
briefing,
conference, yeah.
that like somebody like a reporter straight up asked him to his face if he knew what that was, and he freaked the hell out.
Like that's not a good question. But there are acts of resistance out there. There is like I know it's so easy to doom scroll because
Yeah,
like and a lot of them I'm going to tell you this right now, more specifically in the field that I am where is tech. A lot of them is fear mongering and a lot of it is misinformation.
Misinformation,
A lot
yeah.
of them is misinformation when it comes to AI. I'll talk about it later.
Another episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like we're saying, of course, we have the classical, contact your reps, contact your,
Harass your reps. Don't contact them.
your
harass
reps.
them.
Honestly, like
Harass
we said in
them.
the last
Congress,
episode.
Congress, Senate, your
Municipal, your county, your
Municipal-
state.
like if you have an HOA, you can harass them as well because fuck HOAs. But yeah, harass them. Harass them.
Yeah, and like beyond the good news and stuff, also try and keep on top of the shitty stuff, just so you're in the know. I again, don't doom scroll, but like be in the know. Don't just be like. I know we had our blinders on earlier, but like don't completely go shut
Yeah.
them off. But
Because being in the that's what Trump and fascism, let's be honest, it is fascism, thrives on. Is people who are miseducated or misinformed, undereducated, and just don't know what they're talking or just doesn't have a clue of what's
or
happening.
don't engage. Like
You
the
need
whole
to-
point of this is to engage.
Yeah, and like you need to be like knowing is resistance already. There's little acts of resistance that you can do just so you won't fall for propaganda and for fascism. I'm gonna tell you this right. We are not safe from propaganda. No one is.
No.
No one is because everything is ever changing. Language is ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are ever changing. But what needs to stay true and what needs to stay solid is you being informed. And so,
And you being in community.
so as much as it sucks, as much as like I don't want to hear about bad things,
You gotta take it with the good too.
you gotta take it with like, what is sweet without salty? What is the sunshine without the rain? Right?
Yeah.
So, for that, with that all being said, we have links of all of these wonderful, terrible, beautiful, ugly things. All of them are gonna be beautifully categorized down below in our resources page.
We've been working on this. If y'all haven't noticed, by the way,
So it's more legible and it's a lot easier.
it's a lot easier to navigate too. And there's
especially-
pretty little pictures. You're welcome. So yeah, in our last little bit, I just wanted to, in the same spirit that we ended off the last episode, where we stood with our trans brothers, sisters, and siblings. We'd like to end off by saying that we stand with immigrants. We
and
stand with newcomers. We stand with asylum seekers and refugees. We stand with marginalized people of color,
uh,
and we stand especially
with the
for
undocumented.
with those who are unaccompanied, undocumented minors.
And 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 on to top the note of there is no illegals in stolen
No
land.
illegals on stolen land.
So, with that being said,
That being said, thank you for joining us this episode. It's been a lot, we know,
we know we did the research for it.
and we're gonna do post for it. So
So we know. But yeah, stay informed.
Mhm.
Look for your community. Stay within your community or
knowing is resistance, joy is
Mhm.
resistance, existing is resistance.
being queer is political always. And that's it for us. So this has been 3.
And this is Migs.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye.